everyone, and welcome to episode 96 of my Guild Wars 2 Let's Play series. Last episode we completed the rest of Malkor's Leap and also did a bunch of story, where we do have a ton of story left to go as we finish out the personal story. But today I want to go ahead and begin our explorations in the final map of 2012 Guild Wars 2, the Cursed Shore. A really cool map, and it is in 2012 with the original launch of the game, the only exclusively level 80 map in the game, where Malkor's Leap goes to level 75 to 80, and then all the way up here Frostgore's Sound, it goes from level 70 to 80, but Cursed Shore is only level 80, and every map introduced after the Cursed Shore is only level 80, but this originally was the only one. So let's go ahead and get started as we just explore a bunch of random things and see how much progress we get done in like an hour of me playing. So let's go ahead and run through this portal, and we can see this incredible loading screen art of a couple of heroes of Tyria standing up against what looks like a gigantic Risen. And we have a pursuit pass waypoint here as we load into the map, and it is just incredible looking. So let's go ahead and mount up and try to get through here a little bit, where there are a bunch of map completion objectives and some other cool areas that aren't necessarily marked, like that cave right there. But if we come around here, we can see so many cool things. One of my favorite things in ore are all these pillars that we can find, and there are two of them here in the Cursed Shore that just look incredible, especially during daytime if we happen to swap over to day. But we have our starting base of operations right over here that we can go ahead and grab this waypoint, and there's a point of interest, and it looks like it is built underneath this like giant shell. We have Care Shadowfane, and this is just really cool looking. Like, what type of like sea creature, or must be like a sea monster, did this belong to once upon a time? Just really cool. We have the Fields of Gold. Right around here we got what looks like a hero challenge, and we could use a fight, so let's go ahead and fight him. We'll see how much of a fight he really puts up, where she actually has a decent amount of health. Let's go ahead and pop some of this down. We can maybe overkill him by going into Shroud a little bit. We can freeze him as we finish off the fight there. The first of 17 hero challenges in this map, so definitely a lot to progress through. Next, we do have this vista over here, which I believe we can begin to reach by coming up this way. There are a ton of Risen everywhere, a massive giant there, but I believe this is the start to getting to the vista. I'm currently chilled. Just a tiny little jumping puzzle. Or as far as jumping puzzles in this map goes, I think there's only one jumping puzzle and 2 mini dungeons, but one of the mini dungeons doesn't really feel like a mini dungeon to me. Careful. Oh, almost fell there. But there's just so many different elements throughout ore, like with the intricate ornate like architecture and like all of the Risen, and then there's like the Pact here, and then all of the like sea life and whatnot. That just makes ore like one of the most like unique areas, I feel like, in many video games. We have areas like the Shiver Peaks, where it's basically just like classic snow-covered mountains, but ore is really something unique and very special. And let's take a look at it with this vista. A cool shot of one of those arches that we can see just going way up into the distance, and there's all the dragons flying about fighting the packed airships. If you take a look at our map, there's just so many different places we can go. We're already 7% of the way complete, which is cool, and it goes all the way down here towards the entrance to Ara, where it looks like there's like a mentor tag up there, and most of like the mini dungeons and stuff are on like the southern end of the map. So maybe I'll kind of just like explore north to south a little bit. Care if they drop down here. We could try to complete those like 3 pieces of content, and then we can just finish up the map as we continue to progress the story. over this way, there's a statue of Balthazar. I remember like some big champion event right here that's like pretty tough. But if you just maneuver to the statue itself, let's try to kill these embers. I appreciate we have a spend to win ability with our Reaper Shroud. And they are dealing a decent amount of damage to us. With this being a level 80 exclusive map, we are scaled to level 80 instead of being like scaled down in like some parts of the map. So we are kind of at like the maximum amount of power in a sense that we can get from leveling up stats wise. But we can always get some better gear as we continue to round out our build. I think there's a waypoint over here that I'll grab really quickly, and then I might zig back over to that area, or zag back over to that area. Point of interest at this research and development area. And let's try to leap across the water because that water looks really gross. Have what looks like a small packed camp up there in the distance. Cursed Shore in particular is really cool if you have been playing through the personal story, because we got to experience this a little bit during chapter 8 where we came here in the Pale Tree's vision, and then for Zavari in particular during chapter 2 of the story you also get a little sneak peek at the Cursed Shore. But we have basically a massive road that goes north through south in the Cursed Shore that we are currently on, so we could try to follow this road a little bit as we progress through the map. Where that's something I also really enjoy about Ore, is like the progression through like the Straits of Devastation into Malkor's Leap into the Cursed Shore, is that it's just like a massive both like physical road that you can follow and then kind of like a metaphorical road where the pact are just marching through Ore. We have Gallows Hang right here, point of interest, anti-hero challenge. We can commune with this place of power. I remember there being like a nasty champion event that like spawns here every now and then and makes it difficult to get this hero challenge, but it looks like we are safe right now. Cursed Shore in particular has a ton of champions, so much so that people way back in the day, and still to this day a tiny bit to a much lesser extent, used to just like spend a ton of time in this map fighting all the champions over and over in order to make some gold. Joe Fast's waypoint. We have some risen gorillas, which I always find really cool. I'm sure one of these could beat like 100 men or something. Let's navigate around here where we have our next temple, I believe, the Cathedral of Verdance. One of my favorite temples because it is the temple to Melandru, and it is very, very plant-based. You can see the statue of Melandru right there. And it kind of looks like it's a little hostile. It's not hostile at all. There's just like a ton of mobs around here. I believe the other cathedral right now, the one to Grinth, is currently under Risen control, so we need to be careful if we go down into that area. But we got a point of interest right here, and then the statue of Melandru. And this temple is a very, very important temple for a story beat that we will progress in the future. But there's also a mini dungeon that is located here, and this is the mini dungeon that I was saying doesn't really feel too much like a mini dungeon for me. So let's go ahead and try to complete it really quickly, and then we could just waypoint out. Where the area we are going to is definitely a little important, but we won't be able to access the main area itself. But we can basically like follow the path that we will be taking soon enough in the personal story, and then we'll get an achievement at the end of it. If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure there's an achievement down here. But if we run to here, we have the Artesian Waters, an important area, and we got the Forgotten Stream achievement. Locate the stream deep beneath Ore. Seriously, who put a door here? Where we got 10 achievement points. So then we can just run right out of here. I could waypoint, but we are in combat, except not anymore. So maybe I'll just take a moment to dart back north a little bit, because there's like a point of interest in the hero challenge right here, and there's so much stuff everywhere. We're already 30% complete with the map. Maybe I'll just straight up be able to complete it this episode. We'll see. Let's go ahead and run around this way because we have the hero challenge that is inside a little bit of a labyrinth. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, I always get confused in this maze. I can never really figure my way through here. Alright, let's go through this door. And then we might get dismounted as we continuously get attacked. Have a metal helm. I think we can just keep running. Nope, not here. We have Winternell Labyrinth. I guess we wanted to go this way. We could try to like peek the mini-map a little bit to see where we specifically have to go. Sleeping mats. And then, oh, the hero challenge is on this side. So I think if we navigate to here, and then we have to kill everything. And since we ran through, we might have to kill quite a few things if they like run over towards me. Let's defeat this Risen Corruptor first, who shows us, kind of giving us a taste of our own medicine here. Which I think is kind of fun, playing a Necromancer through like the personal story, because there's a ton of like undead themes, and Necromancers have a ton of undead themes as well, but we can't summon skeletons, which I really, really want. We have an Orion Spectral Sword, so we've had a couple of hero challenges like this, one in Straits of Devastation and one in Malcor's Leap, where we fight some spectral weapons. We have another one here, just continuing the trend. There's a Risen Plague Bearer that has appeared. And there we go, 5 out of 17. And we do have more stuff up here, but I think let's return to Verdant's Waypoint. And let's just continue further south, because I do think I want to try to prioritize the mini dungeon and the jumping puzzle on the southern end of the map. So we have a point of interest in the hero challenge right up here. And Cursed Shore just definitely feels dangerous. There's like so many Risen everywhere, but it's also very, very cool because we've got a Black Crocus here where we can get Saffron Thread, and we have gotten 2 of them so far, but I think Saffron Thread is also an ingredient similar to Omnom Berries that's really unique to ore itself. And as we continue to head a little further south, we are going to start recognizing some stuff that we've seen. Look at this like massive like octopus or whatever, where we are going to see some bases and areas that just look a little familiar. Somebody's doing this hero challenge, we can help out with that. 41% complete with the map. And it looks like we can train maybe a couple of things here, where we can get Cold Shoulder, which is going to be nice, and then we can get the Nothing Can Save You shot over 1 hero point away. So we just got this new trait here. Chill lasts longer and chilled foes take increased strike damage from your attack. So we basically just increased our DPS by like 15% or whatever, which is kind of cool. But as we come over in this direction, let's go ahead and get this vista first. We have the Royal Tombs, which we did come into this area, Azabe Kabar, the Royal Tombs, when we were doing chapter 6 of the personal story. So we now finally get to see this in like our physical world, and let's see it with this vista. Just so cool looking. Ore is just so magnificent. Let's try to drop down here and go into the tombs proper, where this event is currently going on. So maybe we might have to fight something, or we might have to actually help out with the event, because it looks like we cannot get through the gate. But there might be a way to sneak up this way. If we jump up here, and then we can run down this direction, where we have the point of interest, and then this hero challenge over here, where the gate will open in 1.5 minutes, but I don't really care too much about that right now. Just keep getting stunned over and over. We have the inscribed casket, which we had a boss fight here previously, and then this is just a place that we can commune. Looks like we have a little poem here. It says, "Beloved hero, warrior, defender, though your mortal body is slain, as long as you are remembered forever as king, shall you reign." Yeah, 1 more hero point for us. And then we can go ahead and get that new ability. We come into training here. Nothing Can Save You, just a new utility skill. And then 10 more hero points and we will be able to get a new trait, which is exciting. If we run back down here and then try to mount up And I think that's all the map completion objectives in here, which is cool.
I think I've puzzled out how to pry the gate open.
And they're just going to continue progressing there, where we have another event here, Chris Shore, filled to the brim with events. But we have one of the main packed outposts in the map right over here, and this is just a really, really special area. Because one, we see that vista right up there. That is the final map completion objective that I ever got in my first ever like world completion for Guild Wars 2, like way back in the day. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and save that vista to be our final here in this series. But on top of that, this base is opposite of one of the coolest parts of the map, the entrance to Ara, where we have the promenade of the gods that leads to the narthex, which we explored this area a tiny bit in the personal story, but again we finally get to see it in person, and it just looks so incredible, where it is lined with statues on either side, and half the statues are deactivated because we control Melandrus Cathedral, but half of them are still active because we do not control Grint's Cathedral, and it looks like we do control the narthex itself, where the event failed. Oh, maybe we should have stayed. But let's go ahead and run up the promenade of the gods, and it's just so incredibly cool looking. I love this area so much. But we do have a waypoint up here, and at the entrance to the final dungeon in Guild Wars 2, the ruined city of Ara, and we will be returning back to this point in the future. But we've got the gates of Ara, point of interest, and the Ara waypoint, and I believe that is everything up here, so we can continue further south. We can go back down the promenade of the gods, which is always fun to like go through areas like from multiple different angles, because you can see like so many like different types of like views if you like stop at any place and like take a look at it from multiple different angles. You can see another one of those massive like pillars going through the entirety of Or towards the center of Ara, which is just so cool. But right here we have a lighthouse with a point of interest. Let's try to get that Augur's torch, and let's go ahead and continue this way perhaps. Jump down this way, veteran risen giant, and we have Desmina's Hollows. Desmina being an incredibly cool character because she is the first follower of Grinth, and is also somebody who may or may not be a little bit important for kind of a smaller story in the future of Guild Wars 2. But is there anything over here? I don't think there's any points of interest this way specifically, so we can just get like a nice view. And I think going back to chapter 2 of the personal story, this is the area that we went through during that chapter, and it's also an area that we'll come back to a little bit in a future mission. But down over here we have what looks like a hero challenge right here. We have some pirates, it looks like. So we have this cannon right here, the Magic Cohesion Cannon. We can go ahead and just deal with. We can't really put conditions on this. That's a good thing for us since we are a Reaper who deals mostly power damage. And that is 9 out of 17 hero challenges completed. We'll just explore the shipyard really quickly. And then we're really close to Grint's statue, so let's get out of this little bubble here. Can't see the boundary of it. And then we have Grint's touch for like 3 more seconds, and then we can mount up and get through here as we run south. So let's mount up. So many risen everywhere. And this area is so cool because there are just so many ships, including this massive one right here, which is going to be our next mini dungeon. So let's go ahead and try to get up here, where there's actually a point of interest and a hero challenge in here as well that we can try to get first. So here's Death's Anthem, a very, very cool ship. And then I think we can run up this way. Hero challenge should be up here. We see a spectral hammer, so another one of those spectral weapons. I think this is the 4th one we will have fought in the hero challenge. 2 in this map, and it's still immune. I just like launched so much stuff at it and did nothing to it. There are so many events. There's currently 2 events going on in this one little area, plus this hero challenge event that I'm currently doing. You can see a waypoint through the window there. But 10 out of 17 hero challenges completed. And now let's go ahead and do the mini dungeon, where we can come back down to like the main deck of the ship. And then we can run down into the whole of the ship, or whatever it's called. I'm not really familiar with like the different parts of ships and like which ones like which and whatnot. Dodge this way, and we could just like run through here if we want, which is what I typically do when I just like come through here for like a daily or whatever. Got some coral right here, which is fun. You don't normally find this on like the floor of a ship. I think if we run this way, we can run past a few things here and try to group them up. Just obliterate them, so much damage. And we can continue running down here, where it looks like there are a couple of players in here, maybe just AFK to allow people to teleport to them for whatever reason. And we just got grounded. Recover lost valuables within a breached ship. Where when you come down here, if somebody hasn't done the event recently, you can get a special item from that chest there if you complete the event, but I don't think it's anything like really important. So let's try to run back up this way. It looks like there's like 2 ways down, so we just took one of the ways, but if you had like continued forward as we ran down, maybe it's a little bit faster. We just ran out of here super easily. But we got that achievement, so we've gotten 2 achievements now. Those are the 2 mini dungeons, and there's 1 more jumping puzzle, but we gotta make our way over to it. So first things first is over here. Something that we will be talking a little bit more about in the future, but we have this shipwreck right here with some ghosts, and then we can go ahead and get this waypoint, and then we can drop into the water. 63% completed with the map, where there's a hero challenge over here, and then we can head towards this vista. And oh no. Don't look at the map while driving. That's what I got. We need some like GPS in our modern day Guild Wars 2, I suppose. Such a cool looking model though. The hero challenge is this way, so let's just swim over to there. A mysterious egg that we can inspect and touch the egg, where we get risen sea turtles, including risen sea turtle children. And this is very sad, but let's go ahead. COD putting them out of their misery. There goes the 2 children, and then we can defeat the mother as well. And we get a hero point in the process. So another sadder hero challenge that we experience here. But up this way. Where's the entrance here? Because this is the start of the jumping puzzle. And I guess in a way this is the final jumping puzzle of the original release of Guild Wars 2, which is kind of exciting in a way. But it's not a jumping puzzle that I particularly enjoy too much compared to the other ones. It's kind of just, average. Where I do enjoy some of the jumping puzzles that we will be experiencing soon enough as we continue to progress through the game. But we got mounts disabled in this area and a bunch of risen raptors, so we can't use our own raptor around these raptors. A veteran risen gorilla. Now that one could definitely beat 100 men. But up this way. Just try to jump up to here. We have entered the Cathedral of Silence area, but we're not exactly at the Cathedral of Silence. Ignore this gorilla. There's a few of them around here, and just a bunch of other risen. Where it's really interesting that there's risen gorillas, because 1, it says that there used to be gorillas in Ore, and 2, we don't see any gorillas in like anywhere else in Guild Wars 2. We only see risen ones, which is interesting. So maybe they're extinct, or maybe it's a good opportunity for like a future expansion to reintroduce them. But we have this vista right here. If we can't get out of combat, we can take a look at it. A cool shot of the mini dungeon that we just went through, and then we can progress through this jumping puzzle, where it's a relatively simple and straightforward jumping puzzle, where there's diving goggles there. Remember there's diving goggles, and we can come back to them. Jump up this way. Carefully jump up here. Nothing too stressful or strenuous yet. Though we are like very close to a corrupted statue right now. This jump's a little tricky. There we go. And up to here. And then we can see the end of this jumping puzzle. So, you know, pretty straightforward. Nothing like too bad about this one, but nothing really exciting, and not too many really difficult jumps, I suppose. There's our veteran risen noble. Let's try to grab the attention of all the undead here. Group them up, do some AoE damage. Looks like one of them is trying to run away. Beat back this veteran really quickly. It looks like the skirmisher wants to fight, but nothing else. Finish the noble and turn our attention to you. Shouldn't be. Oh, now the two want to join. We could have joined earlier, so I could have AoE'd you down while I AoE'd the other ones. But here we have the grand chest, and we just completed the buried archives jumping puzzle. Which, if you take a look at this, we have 3 more jumping puzzles in the jumping puzzle category, and these are from Living Road Season 1. So we have 3 jumping puzzles coming up in Season 1, and then all the jumping puzzles added in Season 2 and afterwards are in their like map exclusive categories. So we are like almost basically complete with that one achievement category, which is kind of fun because everything else will be as we get to each individual map. Let's drop down here where I remembered the diving goggles, and that point of interest is later on. So let's dive down here as we can progress our dive master achievement. I'll just search for it, where we are at 24 out of 38, where we have missed some. One of them in Kryta is coming up pretty soon in the future. Looks like we're missing one from Iguma. We got every single one in the Ruins of War, and then we just have some others that we can go back for at some point, and I'm not necessarily sure when, but maybe someday we'll go for them. Let's jump this way, and then we can climb up here, but this is going to be a little challenging for us. I'm just going to take a sneak peek at the map. Let's come south first, or we need to go around this way. So let's grab this point of interest up here, and then we can try to explore Grent's Cathedral, which is currently in Risen control. So I'm not exactly sure if this is going to work out well for us. Maybe we have to return in the future. The Pact are temporarily focusing on maintaining defenses at Death's Gaze Torch, where we just were. Let's go ahead, enter here. We need to pay a lot of attention to what's going on around us so that we can successfully come through this area. And first, this spot is so cool looking. But we have the point of interest that I pointed out earlier that we can grab, which is the buried archives point of interest, which is kind of funny. We have like the jumping puzzle that's above it, but then the point of interest itself is below it. But then out this way, we have this waypoint right here, and then this point of interest, and then we have this hero challenge. So this is going to get interesting. Let's try to group everything up we can. It did not work out well for us. Defeat all of those. I missed my shot there. Let's focus on you really quickly. And then back this way. Let's defeat you. And let's see if we can get this hero challenge. We might be taking too much damage. It looks like we're communing with it. And we got it. Okay, so that worked out much better than I thought. So we have completed everything in the Cathedral of Silence. So we can go ahead and continue progressing north here. Which we need to get out of the AoE range for the statue. And we need to wait a few seconds for it to wear off. So I can mount up. So I can get out of here much easier. And we left combat. Looks like the Wraith was coming to attack me, but I mounted up just in time. So let's get out of here. I think if I come right here, I fit under like how we came in. And then we have the exit right here, but there's a ton of Risen right here. And as I leave, a new player enters the temple. We have a very, very, very tiny airship up there, which is kind of cute looking. And it looks like there's like a lot of action going on here. But let's go ahead and run up this way, where we have yet another statue with another hero challenge at it. So let's run up to here. Statue of Melandrew. Try to grab the attention of all the mobs here. Looks like the skirmisher is just going to shoot at us. Another player here. Try to defeat the skirmisher really quickly. And then we can get this hero challenge, which looks like it's just a commune one. But it looks like we're taking a lot of damage here. Let's try to defeat this claw really quickly, maybe. And smaller undead claw here. Looks like that cannon just annihilated it. So I'm not sure how we're going to get this hero challenge. We might have to return to it in the future. There's another one up there. Okay, well this is definitely annoying. We cannot get that hero challenge. And it looks like there's not even the opportunity for us to try to get the hero challenge for a long time because the events are not up and the meta has not progressed at all. And let's just get out of here. Or we can run this way over towards this hero challenge and we can check back in a few minutes. And of course we get crippled from the statue, which is very unfortunate. Cripple's maybe my least favorite condition in the game. More so than like chilled and immobilized. Let's go ahead and defeat this Risen Wraith. We have Harbinger Torch here. Which this should be a little bit of an easier hero challenge for us. There's some plasma on the ground that we can pick up. I feel like maybe it'll give you like a buff or something for a few seconds. Where yeah, you gain all boons for like 5 to 10 seconds. So many boons, so that's cool. Let's try to mount up. We have this massive bridge destruction, and I think there's a hero challenge. Yeah, down here in the water this way. So let's run back here really quickly. This bridge definitely would have looked super cool when it was like fully constructed and not destroyed by, you know, the entire continent sinking below the waves and then coming back up from below the waves. There's a Risen in here that we can just quickly defeat, potentially. My camera got a little weird right before I started talking, but let's grab this hero challenge where we have sunken rations. So I'm sure that was incredibly healthy for us. I have this point of interest here, but maybe let's come back all the way up here and let's continue progressing where we started exploring the map from. Where we came down on the eastern side, let's try coming down on the western side. One more waypoint to get, and then a few other objectives. Where I think if we head straight west, we'll hit a hero challenge. But now that it's daytime, let's take a little bit of a look at this pillar here, which just looks absolutely incredible. So we can see it just goes up into the sky and it looks so cool. I love the skybox of this map so much. You can see the dragons flying around and the airships and the helicopter with this massive arch. So cool looking. But continuing westwards, where this map is gorgeous during the daytime. It looks cool during night, but it's just absolutely gorgeous during the day with like the golden aura. This area kind of looks cool. There's like oil on the ground maybe. But over this way, we have another one of those like ring areas, but this one is a little waterlogged, where we have a hero challenge that's going to be in the water if I recall correctly. For some reason, sea turtles, strange ring structures. So they're a little strange, but I'm sure they're like something important for like Orion culture or whatever way back in the day. Let's come down here. It's gonna be Risen Rodmouth. I think we have to defeat this one first. We have a Risen Sea Turtle that wanted to come hang out with us. And we can grab this hero challenge here. Commune with this place of power. I feel so much stronger now that I've communed with these random ring structures. Up here, looks like I ran past a point of interest as we came up here, so let's run back this way just a tiny bit. A ton of Risen Drakes are around here. We have sea change tide pools, so a little tide pool area, which is cute. And then I think in the water we have an area that we can explore. Or maybe it's not here specifically. Let's just swim out for a second, take a look at our map. I think this is an area we can explore. So I think we're like right on the edge of the map. Got immobilized. So let's run this way where we can see a packed camp. It's a more like giant coral structures that just look so cool right next to like some ancient Orient structures that are very dilapidated. You have like part of a ship right here, just like the frame of the bottom of the ship there, which is very cool looking. Everything else has like been torn or rotted away. Or maybe it's part of this ship right here where you see like the top part of a ship. Let's mount up. Get into the safety of this base where we have a waypoint, a vista, and a point of interest. So there's those, and then I think if we run up this tower we can get to this vista. It's been a while. What's the best way? If you jump here and then to here and then over to here, we can take a look. Very cool looking as always. I like this ship that like sunk beneath the waves and kind of like capsized a little bit and then got stuck on this piece of coral. Very, very cool looking. We have a point of interest just east of us, and then we have the unexplored waters just south. So let's come into the waters first. It looks like there's some ship here, and we have explored the final area of ore, where we have the Herald Sea that we just explored. And if you take a look at our map, we have a point of interest and a hero challenge down this way. And it looks like that's the only things in the waters here. And I think I got like everything else this way. So everything in like the southern bit of the map except for this dang hero challenge, which we can go and try to progress the meta really quickly. Where the ship disappeared while I was on my map. It sailed away. Let's dive into waters that I don't really want to dive into. This definitely feels and looks very, very gross. But this is what we do for world completion. We have what looks like a fresher shipwreck here. A very cool looking shipwreck with some mysterious golden orb here, kind of similar to the one that we see in Orient Power Orb, similar to the one we see in Malcor's Leap. Captain's Log, where you can pause to read this if you want. I want to get out of this area really quickly. We're at 90% complete. So I guess let's swim straight east, and then we can come back for that point of interest. So back to the shore. You can see what looks to be like an old Orient Plaza here. Potentially some sort of like meeting grounds or like communal area or something. And then when we swim up to here, you can see what looks to be some sort of like taller structure that is now basically kind of like a dock. Have a little ramp up into the earth here that we can swim to so we can get back onto shore, and we can mount up, and then the point of interest should be right around here. Thorn Dock, very interesting. And then let's go ahead and run this way where we have the one point of interest up here that I'm missing. And it definitely looks like we will be able to complete this map as long as we can get to that one hero challenge, which seems to be a little tricky for us. If you run around here, then this is like some sort of like ancient ruin that we need to find the entrance for. It's up this way maybe. And then can we like jump through here? Oh, I got it. So we got that point of interest. 2 more remaining. I remember where one of them is. I remember 1 Vista and 1 Hero Challenge, which we are 1 Vista and 1 Hero Challenge away. And then the 2 points of interest. So there's the one right there that I remember. Where's the other one that I'm missing? Oh, all the way north. So let's go back to Care Shadowfang. This area kind of reminds me of like the Archdruid's Tower in Celithis from World of Warcraft and Bitter Mountain. If you like know what I mean, and you have like as weird of a brain as I do, like this point of interest feels thematically similar. But we got that, so let's jump down this way. There's Risen down here too. We can loop back around to the Care. Just get out of combat. There's like some Risen there. And that's waypoint Where's the closest waypoint here? To Anchorage waypoint, I suppose. And let's see if the meta event is progressing. It's probably not, but I could maybe try to get like a different instance of the map. It could be something I try to do. The Pact are attacking the Temple of Grinth. And it looks like they're in the final area and they're maybe fighting the Risen Priest of Grinth, so maybe this is incredibly fortunate for us. So let's try to hurry down there and see if we can help out with the fight, but maybe they'll take the temple before we get there so then we can just run back for this hero challenge. We have this dog here named Bolwyn. I'm just gonna shimmy past everything. This statue of Grinth is really cool looking with like all of this built up around it. So maybe put down some birthday cake that we could eat if we wanted, but I'm just gonna rush past this way. So the Risen Priest of Grinth, nobody's fighting. We have the Keeper here. See if there's anyone down here. Okay, so maybe we're the only ones here. Let's type Grinth boss up, and we need to protect the Keeper. And then let's ping the points of interest. Let's try to take care of everything right here. We can look at the Risen Priest of Grinth, who looks incredible. And we are basically by ourselves right now, so let's see how well this goes for us. Probably not super well. We can maybe break the break bar. We've already dealt 10% damage. Let's get out of that attack. I'm concerned about what happens if our ally dies, because he has a health bar and I'm not sure if it's just going to auto-fail the event or not. This is definitely a little bit of a stressful fight, but this enemy just looks so incredibly cool. It's like launching me into the air or something. Just broke his break bar again, which is good for us. See if there's any phases at like 50%. I kind of remember there being like a big phase or something at some point where we have to fight like a bunch of like wraiths that spawn or something. I'm not sure. But oh, he keeps launching. Oh, we full died there because we died to fall damage. That is so unlucky. Let's get back as fast as possible. I saw another player run in there. We killed the boss halfway, but he just like straight up killed us without us even having a chance to fight back there. Okay, the priest has taken a little bit more damage and is still taking some damage. Let's try to run down here. Looks like the Keeper is mostly fine. Where's the boss at? Oh, here are shades. These are maybe the shades I was thinking of instead of wraiths. And they are immune. Struck by Grinth's domain. Let's try to come over here and continue fighting the priest. Can maybe try to break his break bar again. And that ability is so dangerous. Okay, we broke him. Try to deal as much damage as possible. Try to dodge out, heal up a little bit, throw all our stuff on the ground as he does the same. And then we can try to break him once again. He's getting pretty low on health, but there's so many like immune shades around here. He does something that makes them invulnerable unless struck from Grinth's domain. I'm not sure exactly what that means, if I'm being honest. Looks like the bosses are very low on health. Can break him one more time. I'm just gonna dodge because I don't want to get thrown up in the air. There we go. Let's use this. And let's finish this fight. And we have defeated the Risen Priest of Grinth. An absolutely incredible looking boss. But the pack can go ahead and continue into here. We have not successfully claimed it just yet.
Any distractions won't be good for any of us. Now, how did Ambrose say this thing starts out? Think
So it looks like we are going to have to defend the keeper here as he does a ritual that will deactivate the temple. So defeating the priest isn't everything we need to do. And now we have to wait 6 minutes and successfully complete this event in order to get that hero challenge. Well, a little while later, we have 20 seconds left to defend, and we got a couple of new friends hanging out with us here, where some veteran risen spiders keep coming out of the ceiling, which is actually a really cool vibe. But it stresses me out just a little bit because they spawn right on top of the boss, and then they spawn little baby spiders right after like the big one dies, and we have to defeat.
I could actually feel Saitan's influence over those Greb statues being severed. This cathedral is silent again.
Let's go ahead and say TY to our friends, and we have successfully cleansed the temple, which means we can get that hero challenge. So let's go ahead and run this way, and we can get back towards where that hero challenge is located, which after we get that, there's just one point of interest that I missed that we can go grab, and then the final vista. And I believe after we get that vista, we will have 100% completed the entirety of Core Tyria, which I think is very exciting. But let's go ahead, grab this one hero challenge, which is super easy to get now. That is 17 out of 17. And let's come grab this point of interest really quickly. Right up here, we can grab this. A pretty simple point of interest to miss. And then back over this way. And if you take a look at our map, 303 out of 303 tasks completed, 189 out of 189 hero challenges, 653 out of 653 points of interest, 486 out of 486 waypoints, and then 225 out of 226 vistas, meaning out of the entire game, through 96 episodes of this Let's Play series, we just have one vista left to get in order to complete Core Tyria, and then we have many more maps left to complete that have been introduced after the original launch of the game, but this is still definitely an exciting moment. A vista that like 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, I got this vista as my final map completion objective in my first ever world completion of Guild Wars 2. Let's go ahead and savor this vista. A beautiful shot, and we get so much stuff there. Let's go ahead and read our mail first. Courageous work exploring the cursed shore. Greetings, traveler. The Tyrian Explorer Society has been made aware of your accomplishments upon the cursed shore. We're impressed. Not many can boast of having explored the far reaches of Ore. Congratulations on having survived this challenging territory. We wish you luck in your future explorations. Very cool. But we just got cursed shore map completion, including a blackline chest key that I'll save for later. And then if we come into our achievements page, we have completed the achievement Been There, Done That. Map complete to all locations in Tyria. 20 achievement points, and we get this mastery point that we just got right here. And I'm very close to actually leveling up my mastery, where we also get the title Been There, Done That, which maybe let's just rep this for a tiny bit. Throw that there, and then we have this very special and unique icon here, road completion, where we get 2 gifts of exploration that allow us to create 2 legendary weapons from the first generation of legendary weapons, and we're about to get so many different achievement points here. But as we finish up this episode, let's go ahead and just really quickly fight a few mobs, because we are so close to finishing this next mastery. And we have a few around here that we can easily defeat. Or a Spectre Guard. And another one over here. We only need to fight like 6 or 7 more. And then we can go ahead and raise our mastery level just a little bit. Where we do have the new mastery point that we have obtained, which is really cool. And we're about to get a couple more as we finish up the personal story. Where once we do the final mission of the personal story, I think we actually get 2 mastery points. One from completing the story, and one from completing every dungeon story mode, which is kind of cool. Upon defeating that Risen, I now have all the experience I need, and let's go ahead and throw this in here, where we have one more left to get in the Pact Commander Mastery track, which we need 8 mastery points, and I currently have 9, so I'm not going to train either of these two just yet, as I want to save to get this one, so we can complete the Pact Commander Mastery line. And we are now Mastery level 18, and we are now 100% complete with the entirety of Core Tyria, which is really cool. And it took us a long time to get to this point, but that means we have map completed everything that there is to complete, and I believe along the way we have completed every jumping puzzle and every mini dungeon and a wide variety of achievements as well. But we will continue looking at some achievements, and we will continue looking at some more of the personal story as we finish up Core Vanilla Guild Wars 2, which is really exciting. We're really getting close. But as far as this episode goes, I'm going to go ahead and call it good here. Thank you so much for watching. This was a very exciting episode, and I hope you all are taking great care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time on the Road to Tyria. Goodbye.